and welcome back to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about what I watched in the month of July. I know this is a little bit late, but, I've been busy doing other things. So, but you ended up getting it, and you're fine. But yeah, I didn't really watch a whole lot to this month, honestly, or last month, really. I'm starting to watch a few things this month, to prepare for episodes coming up. But, I really didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of things in July. So, this will be a shorter list, I feel like. But, if anything, you could still listen to this if you want to. But yeah, some of these things are just from episodes I've already been doing this month. And, then you can obviously just go listen to the corresponding episode. But if anything, we can, talk about that, I guess. But yeah, so let's move into that. So, because I did do it last month, I guess it would have been July. I actually watched the 1977 version of The Hills Have Eyes, which I did do an episode on. So this movie, if you don't already know, it's about this family, the Carter family, who is a mom, a dad, 2 children, and then actually 3 children. Sorry, it's 3 children, and then the oldest daughter has a husband and a baby. So anyway, they are on their way to California from wherever the hell. I think it's Chicago or someplace like that. Somewhere in the Midwest. I think they're going on this trip. They end up in a desert area pretty much, and they end up breaking down in the middle of the desert, and then they find themselves at the mercy of all these cannibals kind of lurking in the surrounding hills around them. This is a Wes Craven movie. It is after Last House on the Left, but before obviously a lot of his other stuff he did. And I liked this movie. I gave it a 3. I liked the shorts in the beginning of the movie. There were a lot of shorts happening for some of these men, which was always really fun to see. And then also Michael Berryman, his body near the end of this, I'm just oh, well then. He has a nice little muscly, lean body in this, and I was just okay. That just goes to show what I'm fucking paying attention to, I guess. But yeah, this movie isn't anything to write home about necessarily, but I did enjoy it. And, obviously it's a Wes Craven movie, so of course I'm going to, watch it and generally enjoy myself with it. I actually watched this on 4th of July, so I don't know, maybe that's my patriotism or that's where I am in that situation. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching. And then I tried watching the remake, I think, but I really didn't care that much about it, and I was not going to actually watch it. I did see that in the theaters though, back in the day. But yeah, that's what I did. Next thing I watched was actually at the behest of former guest Sean Williams, who had told me to watch this movie, and I'd never seen it before actually, and he was just mentioning to watch it, I guess. And that is Lake Placid from 1999, directed by Steve Miner. This movie is about it's about this paleontologist from New York, played by Bridget Fonda, and there's this game warden, fuck's his name? Bill Pullman, yeah. And they go to this place in New York. They're pretty much trying to find what had killed this man, I guess, because he was eaten alive. And what we find out is that, oh no, it was a giant crocodile. And so this is a croc movie. So for me at least, and again, it has Oliver Platt's there, Brendan Gleeson's there, even Betty White, a couple people. But for me, I really just didn't care much for this movie. I think I gave it a 2.5. But it's not even a fun bad watch. I feel it's one of those ones where I'm kind of it's not Jason X level stupid. You know what I mean? At least I can kind of like that and be oh, okay, this is cool. But I really didn't care that much about it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't just go back and just want to watch it, I guess. I actually wanted to cover on the show, funny enough, and maybe I still would, I guess. But I mean, if you listen to this, I guess you'll know what my thoughts are. But it is a bad movie. I don't think it's the best, which is unfortunate for Steve Miner, but it's his what it is, I guess. But yeah, I did actually watch that. I think the same day as Hills Have Eyes, because I was off that day because it was 4th of July. So, and I think it was on a Friday this year, so it was like a nice little 3-day weekend or something. Anyway, the next thing I watched was an oldie but a goodie to me, at least. I decided I wanted to pull up on watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure from 1989. If you don't already know what this movie is, it's about these two idiots played by Bill and Ted, one played by Alex Winter, others played by Keanu Reeves. They are about to fail their history class, but they get help from a guy named Rufus, played by George Carlin, and a magic phone booth where they get to go back in time, and they get to meet all these different people from figures in history that they then bring back for their final project. And as you already may know, I have done episodes on this movie, or I've done the movie itself, and then I did Bogus Journey, which is the sequel. And I also own the little 3-film collection as well. And I love Bill and Ted, of course. I don't know why I do, but like I just do. I gave this a 4 and a little heart. I don't know what it is. I just like their friendship, I guess. And it's just one of those things where I just think it's like really fun, and it's like a silly little movie. And yeah, that's what I ended up liking about it. So you can go listen to my episode on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but I definitely wanted to just pick that back up, I guess, and just wanted to end up watching it. So that was that. The next thing I watched, I didn't have a whole lot of new watches, actually. One of the things I ended up watching was because I think it is on Criterion Channel, and I was meaning to get around to this at some point, but I think it was because Trixie Mattel had she had a video that came out about like Pride movies, and this is one of them that she talked about, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen that, and I probably should. But I decided to pull up on Hedwig and the Angry Inch from 2001. If you don't know what this movie is, it is a adaptation of the it ended up being on Broadway, but I don't know if it was on Broadway when this came out. It might have been, I think. This is by Stephen Trask and John Cameron Mitchell, who plays the titular Hedwig and also directed this movie, but also starred in it when it was on stage. This is about Hedwig, who was, at one point a young man and then ends up transitioning to be a woman, where, yeah, it's just an interesting thing. And it's kind of her experience through coming from Germany, coming to the U.S., having her heart broken, from being there and just now having to live in the middle of nowhere. And now she kind of tours around to these small venues with her little band. And, she is this internationally ignored but divinely talented rock diva. And I think I did like this movie generally enough. I wouldn't say it like blew me away or anything like that, but I did like it though. I gave it a 3.5 and a heart. And actually, this was the Criterion sale this last month, and it was something I actually picked up. I picked up All About Eve, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Dazed and Confused, and then Hedwig and the Angry Inch. So that's what I picked up on this 50% off sale. So I think the more I will have watched this or to see it, I feel like I'll end up liking it more. But I did end up liking this, and the songs are really good as well. And it's a good time. Like, it's a fun movie to just kind of throw on. And also, if anything, like this is very much something where, you weren't seeing a ton of these like movies that were talking about like genderqueer people or trans folks or any of this stuff. Cause all in all, I do think like, John Cameron and Mitchell himself or themselves, I guess, they are like non-binary generally. Stephen Trask, I think, also is too. So it's an interesting thing. And I just think like in 2001, you were not seeing these kinds of stories. Even before that, you have stuff like, like To Wong Foo and stuff. And like, I love To Wong Foo, don't get me wrong, but like, it's one of those things where this is very much like kind of a drama movie. It's a musical. There is some comedy in it, of course, but I think this is a good little movie, and I can understand why people really latched on to it for some people. And yeah, it's a good time. And I also love, if you haven't already ever checked it out, but I would recommend it if you're at all interested. It kind of has an infamous streak to it, but John Cameron Mitchell also directed Short Bus, which was from 2006. The controversy of that movie is that it's about like it's very much about like sex. It's about a sex therapist actually, who's in this movie, funny enough. who's like one of the little background like musicians that Hedwig has. And anyway, it's about her experience, like, you know, with her different clients and everything. And like, I'm not going to get into Short Bus right now, but like, it's a good movie. John Cameron Mitchell's in it. They directed it. And all of the sex that's kind of the big thing, is that it's all the sex is unsimulated. But I actually think it's like a really good movie, and like, there's something deeper to be said about what's going on in the film and what they're trying to talk about. But it ends up getting this sort of like reputation of like, oh, all of the sex is unsimulated, isn't that crazy? But I'm just like, also like, you're kind of missing the point of the movie though if you're just focusing on that. But okay. Anyway, I liked Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That was cool. So yeah, I ended up watching that. Next thing I watched was for an episode I did. It's The Legend of Billie Jean from 1985. If you haven't already listened to that, you definitely should do so. But this is about a young lady by the name of Billie Jean Davy, played by Helen Slater. She gets caught in this kind of odd fight for justice, where her and her brother, played by Christian Slater, and their friends, one of whom's played by Yardley Smith from The Simpsons, but they're out on the run because this guy accidentally got shot. Because of some crazy circumstances. I'm not going to, completely spoil it here, but, she is now having to go on the run and with her friends and, her brother and everything. And it's just this like fight for justice, very much like the fight for fair is fair. And it, kind of the message of that kind of permeates through the surrounding community, and also just like, maybe not the country, kind of the country, if anything. But yeah, it's really interesting. And I like the film quite a bit. This is a little low budge movie, if anything. I mean, it did come out in theaters technically, but I don't think it did very well. But I actually really like this film, and I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I still really enjoy it. I think it is something where if you are at all interested, you should definitely check it out if you haven't already done so. I just think it's a pretty decent little movie, and it's kind of like a teen exploitation film kind of, and I think it's a pretty good time, honestly. The next thing I watched was for upcoming episodes that I'm doing. So I decided to pull back up on the Doom Generation from 1995. For those who may not already know, I did just post today, but I do have the whole Teen Apocalypse trilogy coming up on the podcast, because why the hell not? Because I had to get around to those movies at some point, and why I just decided to do so. And so if you never see the Doom Generation, all of these are on Criterion Channel, in case you're wondering, or some of them are actually on Canopy if you have a library card. I know you can get Doom Generation and Nowhere on there. I don't know about Totally Fucked Up, but you can at least watch these two. But yeah, Doom Generation is really fucking good. It's about this guy named Jordan White, played by James Duval, Amy Blue, who's played by Rose McGowan. They pick up this hitchhiker, Xavier, played by Jonathan Schick, and they embark on like this sort of sex and violent filled journey through this weird landscape of weirdos, quickie marts, and just a bunch of weird shit. It's very apocalyptic in a way, but I fucking love this movie. It was kind of a movie where it sort of broke through a little bit, especially for Greg Araki, because a lot of his movies before that didn't necessarily. Maybe The Living End to a point did, but I don't know about Totally Fucked Up though. And I think this one definitely did. And then obviously the people in it would end up becoming like Rose McGowan the next year would literally be in Scream. Do you know what I mean? Or like when this was coming out is when Scream was happening. So it's like, or when it was being shot. So that's kind of crazy. And then just also like, then Jonathan Schick, and then just like having all the random other people that are in this movie too, that just kind of pop up for like a cup of coffee. But yeah, you'll hear more about my episode with that, and with my guest and everything. So yeah, I really like the Doom Generation though. I think it's a really cool movie, and I think like all of these movies that Greg Araki did in particular are ones that really mean a lot to a certain group of people in a certain time in their life, you know what I mean? And I think people can still appreciate them for what they are. So yeah. The next thing I watched was for an episode I did last month. I pulled back up on Loser from 2000. It was on Tubi, so I wanted to watch that again. I actually wanted to get around and watching, what was it, The Apartment again, but I didn't end up doing that, but I've seen it before. But if you don't already know, this is Amy Heckerling's movie after she did Clueless, and it has Amina Savari in it and Jason Biggs, who are both in American Pie. This came out the year after. This is about a young man from the Midwest, played by Jason Biggs, named Paul. He goes to NYU, I believe, and he's dealing with these like awful roommates he has. He also is beginning a connection with a young lady by the name of Dora, played by Mina Savari, who is also having an affair with her professor, played by Greg Kinnear. And yeah, it's just an interesting little film. This movie gets shat on quite a bit, and I can understand why. I mean, maybe like everything about it does not always work. For me, I ended up giving this a 3 and a little heart. I think I gave it a 4 at first, but I do technically like Loser. Like, I do think it's a perfectly fine film. It's not as bad as people think that it is, in my opinion, but I can understand people's criticism of it, and it's definitely not like something where I think there were definitely a lot of kind of, if anything, like the expectation for some folks were it was not hitting for them, because you're thinking like, oh, I'm supposed to get like this sort of sex comedy, and that's not what this is. So, but I did end up enjoying it, and you know, when I first saw it, I liked it. I still generally like it, but I can understand the issues that people have with it, though. But you know, in my opinion, like, I do think it's a perfectly fine little film. Some people will, you know, not like it, obviously, but I don't dislike it. It's not the worst teen movie you could watch in the world, but I can understand why some people think that, though. The next thing I watched was for an episode I just did, and that was for the one I am going to be releasing next month. I just skipped over it, but I watched Nowhere from 1997. That is another Gregg Araki movie. This is the finale to the Teen Apocalypse trilogy, and I am doing that this end of this month with my good buddy Rocco, my friend Bobby from Bobby Master. He's on the episode for Doom Generation, but Rocco's on for Nowhere. And Nowhere is pretty much about this kind of collection of friends who are living in LA in the not so distant future. And you have so the main character is Dark Smith, played by James Duval. You have his pansexual girlfriend, Mel, and her lover, Lucifer, and a bunch of different people. Like they're just getting ready for a party at Gigi Fruit's house. And all these things are happening kind of around them with different people, and this movie is so fucking weird. It's kind of the most out there that Gregg Araki ever did, I think. That's saying something, and I just really enjoy this film. You'll hear more about what I think of it, I'm sure, in my episode, but I really do like this. I like the colors of it. I like the soundtrack of it. I like the different people that are in it, and just also like this and Doom Generation especially are just so overtly queer, and there's nothing really, it's just kind of out there, and I really like it. And it's just one of these things where I just think it's definitely something where I understand why people really enjoy these films and why they were important. And again, I think you'll hear me say it in the episode. I think I said it. I was also definitely kind of high on a gummy during that recording, so that was super fun. Tune into that. But I think like also Gregg Araki has never really all been that focused on trying to ever make money in his life with his movies. Like he never kind of catches me, or he never what's the word, strikes me as that kind of guy, because like none of his movies make money like that. But I think he's all about just like making these movies for kind of the weirdos, all these different people, and having that sort of punk sensibility. And that's why I think these movies generally have kind of stayed on a little bit, and they've been able to have a second life, if anything. And I really enjoy them. And I like the whole Teen Apocalypse trilogy, especially Doom Generation and Nowhere are kind of like my favorites, if anything. But yeah, the next thing I watched after that, though, was actually I just did an episode on it, and that was for Jacob's Ladder from 1990. This is, if you don't know what this movie is, it's about a guy named Jacob Singer, played by Tim Robbins, and he is dealing with a lot of weird hallucinations, some weird flashbacks in his life, because he is a Vietnam veteran, and he's just kind of like, he's kind of put into this world of weirdness, and yeah, just like crazy shit is happening to him, and then we end up finding out why this is all happening to him at the end. This is from the same guy who did Fatal Attraction and also some other films. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Wait a minute. Have that and like what else was there? Oh yeah, Indecent Proposal, duh, and Flashdance. But yeah, that guy who did those movies. But yeah, I really like this movie. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I still really enjoy it. I mean, again, like you could always be aware of like it's a twist, and there is, but I do like it, and I think this movie is so unsettling and weird. But I also think like it's so worth like a watch of your time, because I think it is just something that I was never super bored during it. I don't think it's too much of a boring movie. It's definitely something where I just like the visuals. I like kind of just the way that it makes me feel like just unsettled and a little off. And I think that that's how it's supposed to be. And this movie has been so influential for a lot of other films too. But I just thought it was important to cover it and to be able to see it. So that was really big for me. The next two things I ended up watching, one of them was, I think, because the Lady Killers pod did an episode on this movie, and I thought, why the hell not? I'll do it. Because I have also been meaning to watch this movie. I decided to pull up on The Innkeepers from Ti West from 2011. If you don't know what this movie is, it's about this place called the Yankee Peddler Inn, which was a real place in, I think, Connecticut. I don't think it's open anymore, but I know it's not open anymore. But anyway, these two people in the film, one played by Sarah Paxton, Claire, and Pat Healy, played by his name is Luke. This movie is about again the last few days of this place being open, and they are determined, these two workers, to reveal this past that the haunted past that this hotel has, and they experience some different guests throughout this, and it just gets fucking weird, man. For this movie, I gave it a 3, but if anything, I oscillate between like a 2.5 and a 3. I didn't like super hate it necessarily. I haven't watched all of Ti West films. I have seen, I have not watched Maxine yet, but I've seen X and Pearl, and I like both of those. And and I've watched The House of the Devil, which was the film he did before this, and I watched this now, and I can't say I disliked it super much. I mean, if I'm looking at what I've already watched of his, though, I gotta say, I mean, I think this is probably at the bottom, probably. I don't think I'm like, chomping at the bit to watch it again necessarily. But I didn't super hate it, but it's not something I would just readily recommend. I'm like, no, you can watch House of the Devil. That's fine. That's all right. And then, even the trilogy to X, which is the X, Pearl, and then Maxine. I haven't seen Maxine yet, but I think for me, like I'm more of like, yeah, you can go watch those probably. You'll be fine. But yeah, if you're a super big Sarah Paxton fan though, or a big Kelly McGillis fan, I mean, shit, you can pull up on these two. That's fine. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching. And then the last thing I guess I watched was, because shout out to Girl That's Scary and the Horror Queers. They were the Horror Queers were on Girl That's Scary recently, and they covered the movie Gothica from 2003, and I decided to go watch this. I have seen this before as a kid, but I had never seen it like since, and so I pulled up on it. If you don't know what this movie is, it's about a lady by the name of Dr. Miranda Gray. She works at this like prison pretty much as a criminal psychologist. And after she gets into a car accident in a really bad rainstorm, she finds that she is now committed to the mental institution that she works at. Again, I guess it's a mental institution, maybe not a prison, whatever, either way. So she has a husband who's like she's being accused of murdering her husband, Douglas Gray, played by Charles S. Dutton, who also works at the same institution. And yeah, like just some weird shit's going on, and she's like being haunted, and there's just like, but she's also, it's kind of a whodunit of like who actually like killed the girl that she keeps seeing, kind of a thing. And yeah, this is let me see. What do I think of this movie? So this movie is not that good, personally. Halle Berry, honestly, though, she is giving her goddamn all. And why wouldn't she, really? She's coming off of like, I am an actress. I am an Oscar winner, goddammit. And, she is really doing quite a bit. However, and I mean, like, Charles S. Dutton's great. And even like Robert Downey Jr., he's cool. But like, honestly, though, like, this movie is not very well written. Like, I just don't really I just didn't care much about it, to be honest. It was a little bit odd. I still don't quite know why it's called Gothica, you know what I mean? Because I'm kind of like, okay. And it's also, I believe it might have been a PG-13 movie. I think it was, and it definitely feels like that. It feels a little bit neutered in a way. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't exactly like the most thrilled on it necessarily, and I kind of figured that move going in, because I kind of like, I guess I won't spoil it, but there is a bit of a little twist at the end, kind of, and like I kind of remember the twist a little bit, because I was like, oh, okay, like this is what happens with like the mystery of this movie, but I didn't realize who the actual, like, because there's a killer that's like there's a ghost, and the ghost is trying to like avenge herself or whatever, and trying to like have Miranda help her, right? That's kind of the general conceit of this movie. But I kind of forgot that, like, I forgot more of who the killer is in this movie. I'll just say that, and I'll just be like, oh, okay, like I totally forgot about that, but okay, cool, I guess. Like, it was just that was my time watching this movie. It was not very not really interesting, which is unfortunate, but this is kind of the thing of like, ooh, Halle Berry just won an Oscar, goddamn it, that's cool, and like we're gonna like do something with this, and then they just did not do. They were not serving what they thought they were trying to serve, and it doesn't surprise me, because I don't know how. Shout out Sebastian Gutierrez, writer of such films as The Eye and Snakes on a Plane, obviously cinema, and also literal husband of Carlo Gugino. So I mean, good for you, boo. But if anything, I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, like. Yeah, it just wasn't that fascinating to me. Am I also thinking of the right person? I think I might be. I don't know. One of them is married to Carlo Gugino. It's either this guy, it's either the French dude who directed this movie, or it's the writer of this movie. I'm pretty sure it's the writer of this movie. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I don't really care. That's fine. And I will say there was like one or two things I tried watching this month, and I don't know if I'm going to actually watch it. So, okay, so I already talked about The Hills Have Eyes. That was something I tried kind of watching, and I ended up not. The other thing I tried watching, which again, I do kind of want to watch, but I was very bored by it, was a French New Wave film by Jean-Luc Godard. And this was Masculine Feminine from 1967, I believe. Now, the reason I wanted to watch this is because, as I stated, I'm doing the Teen Apocalypse trilogy on the pod, and I am still having to record Totally Fucked Up, so I haven't done that yet. And if you don't already know, that movie, Totally Fucked Up, is pretty much Greg Araki's version of doing Masculine Feminine. He loves that movie, and he was like, let me do it, whatever, right? And I thought, okay, let me do that, like I'm gonna cover this movie at some point. And I just was really, really bored by it most. Same guy, not Jean-Luc Godard, but the guy who shot that movie is the same guy who did the Babysitters Club movie from the 90s. Like, I know, really weird, but yeah, okay, cool. But like, I was not all that interested, to be honest, and I really don't think I'm going back to it. Like, I literally have like however much longer in the movie, like on HBO Max. And I'm just like, I don't care if I watch it or not. Like, I really don't. And yeah, just it was a little boring to me. And I'm also not like, I'm not opposed to like French film or like foreign cinema by any means, but literally like it just was a little bit too slow paced for me. And even saying that with like Totally Fucked Up, like you'll hear more about what I think of the episode and maybe next month with my what I watched or whatever. But it's also just like, I don't know, like I understand like the, you know, Totally Fucked Up isn't exactly the best film in Gregg Araki's like filmography, but also like I found it a little more interesting than I did Masculine Feminine, honestly, and maybe it was just because of queer people, but it worked for me a little bit more. So there's that. But yeah, everybody, that is what I ended up watching in the month of July. Okay. And then now we're moving into the month of August. I've already watched a few things here and there. So I actually need to finish up one of the movies, that I started watching last night, because I only have a few more hours on it, I think, on Canopy. So we'll see how that goes. But, you'll hear more about that, I'm sure, next month. But yeah, we got things going on. You know, we're winding down on summer, you know, it's almost back to school time. That may or may not be something that's sort of like a thing in my not August, but maybe in future months. So that'll be fun. Little theme I might have going, which will be cool. And yeah, just things happening. Like a fun little thing, I think this show is actually turning, God, is it 3 now? Like, that's crazy. I think it is, which is I just kind of realized that today or when I started to record, because I started doing this in August of 2022 and I have continued doing it. And you know, it's been a lot, man. We've done how many episodes? Like what, 180 something at this point. Obviously some of those include these movies, like these episodes, which are not really like full length episodes, but like, you know, I've done like quite a bit of them, and that's really cool. And I don't know, like it's been a good time. And you know, if anything, like, you know, I don't know if there's gonna be any crazy changes or anything. I have thought of like, you know, again, if you listen to these or whatever, I think I mentioned it before, but like there is part of me that kind of wants to do like a bi-weekly schedule maybe or something, and maybe I will do that at some point. So be on the lookout for that in case you're wondering or whatever. But like, yeah, I have to kind of think of that first. But yeah, I really have enjoyed doing this show over the last 3 years, and it's been really cool to have the experiences that I've, you know, been able to have and the people I've been able to get, and just the nice like connections and relationships we've been able to, you know, cultivate on this, and the movies I've been able to learn about and to really kind of analyze and look at and see, and just how the show has evolved in a way too. It's really cool to kind of look back on it, and, you know, even just from seeing, like, you know, listening to my early episodes and being like, oh God, what was I doing? But, you know, now I have become just more knowledgeable of it and how to keep a podcast going on, and it's been really cool. And I don't know, I'm just rambling at this point, but I really do appreciate you guys listening to this. You know, I'm just like my own little dog and pony show I have, and it's just my own self. Like, it's just cool. But I really hope that you get something out of it and you enjoy these episodes. And, you know, I would love to continue making this content for you, and I'll keep it going for as long as I feel like doing it, and if people still like it and want me to do it. So there's that. But thank you. Happy anniversary to the show, and I'm very happy to have that and to celebrate with you, and to also continue doing this. But I think that brings a wrap on to what I watched in the month of July. So you'll hear next month what I watched in August. I've got a fun little collection. I'm sure I'll try to watch different things this month. So yeah, but I think with all that being said, everybody, again, do the normal things. Follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky. The social media links will be in the show notes. Give 5 stars, a 1 to 2 cents review on your podcatcher of choice. You can also follow on Letterboxd at Jesse Kremp, all the things. And yeah, with all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.